It is May 9th, 2025.
This is The Warning.
Watching the utter contempt that Homeland Security ICE Barbie Kristi Noem has for the United States Senate, for the United States Constitution, and for the concept of the checks and balances is startling, if not surprising. What remains incredible is how many Democratic senators voted to confirm this unfit, sadistic, corrupt woman to be the head of the state security apparatus of the Trump regime. It demonstrated an appalling lack of judgment that equals the daily decision by the 45 Democratic senators to maintain as their leader the most feckless man in Washington, the useless Chuck Schumer. Yesterday, Kristi Noem sat in front of the United States Senate and did everything she could to please Donald Trump at the expense of her oath. She was asked direct questions, and her answer to some of them, the equivalent of, "Hey, Madam Secretary, what's 2 plus 2?" And her response is, "Donald Trump is great, elephant." It was appalling. Now, two senators distinguished themselves with tough, rigorous, specific questioning, doing their jobs. Senator Chris Murphy and Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland. Both of them put it to Kristi Noem. Let's watch the responses. Now, we'll talk about what it is that you're seeing, why it matters, and what Democrats have to do next on the other side.
So I'm just going to put the question directly to you. Are you or DHS doing anything to comply with the 9-0 Supreme Court order to facilitate his return to the United States? Just yes or no.
This administration is following all federal court orders.
Madam Secretary, this is a simple question.
It's the president's prerogative on conversations that happen with the president of El Salvador.
I ask a simple question. We have a limited amount of time. I just asked you, Madam Secretary, whether or not you or the Department of Homeland Security are taking any action to facilitate the 9-0 Supreme Court decision to facilitate his return. This is a very simple question.
She simply refuses to answer a direct question. Now, if I was in the Senate at this exact moment, I would have changed direction. And I would have said, "Madam Secretary, tell me about your relationship with Corey Lewandowski. I understand that he serves under you in a variety of different positions as a special government employee. Can you detail his service to you?" And I would have let it go from there. The Democrats who are asking questions are receiving unparalleled contempt from the person who is obligated to answer them, who simply refuses to answer a direct question about whether she intends to comply, whether the administration intends to comply with a 9-0 Supreme Court decision. And what she's doing is hiding behind semantics and dim-wittery that suggests that it's incomprehensible for her to understand the question because Mr. Abrego is in El Salvador, and because as an El Salvadoran citizen, he now sits in the El Salvadoran concentration camp, though it was caused by the malevolence of the Trump administration and their recklessness and their disregard for the rule of law rejected by the American courts. There's nothing that can be done. And this is the great FU to the idea, to the concept of judicial supremacy in this country. And in the end, what is decided as what is law and what is not the domain of the president. It is the province of the courts in America. And that is being tested by the consistent, obstinate, reckless, deliberate lawlessness of the Trump administration. Let's watch some more.
Do you believe that the U.S. government can detain and deport a legal permanent resident for expressing a political opinion that the administration disagrees with?
The determination you're asking for is based on things that you are determining that the Secretary of State has considered and evaluated. We don't evaluate that, the administration, along with a partnership with the Department of State, on what is political speech and what's an affiliation with a foreign terrorist organization.
Do you believe?
That's the difference between the two that you're asking.
That you can detain and deport a legal permanent resident for expressing a political opinion?
We have not detained we have not deported anybody who's a legal permanent resident or a citizen of the United States.
Then say you don't have the ability to do that.
She apparently thinks that life is the Fox News set. Now, there's also something that must be said. Why is she not being questioned with giant poster boards set around that hearing room of her action shots, of her narcissistic illness put on full display, her look at meism, her inability to stay away from the iPhone camera? Do you know who Jay Johnson was? He's this man. He was the Obama-era Homeland Security Secretary. He kept you safe. And this woman can't keep her eye on her purse with $3,000 of cash in it. A little fishy for somebody who makes $167,000 a year. Now, Kristi Noem thought that the way to power in MAGA was to detail the joy she took in shooting a puppy that embarrassed her, that she didn't train and she didn't know how to handle. She's a sadist. And she was voted into power by a lot of Democratic senators. Had enough? The Democratic senators on the committee must sit in a room together with all of their colleagues and commit themselves to the daily maximum exercise of their power to impede the MAGA regime's ability to degrade and burn the Constitution to ashes. Because that is what you are watching in this video. You are watching an executive branch cabinet secretary tell the United States Senate in a co-equal branch of government, the Article 1 branch, to go itself. That's what you are watching. She is lawless. She is incompetent. She is narcissistic. She is a sycophant. She is corrupt. And what she is leading is immoral, it is wrong, and it is violative of the basic rights of Americans and all people to be safe in this country under the rule of law, under the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of the United States. Kristi Noem has brought the Homeland Security Department into the reality of its worst critics' worst dystopian nightmares. An out-of-control federal agency pushing its jackboot down on the neck of American liberty. This sick woman who has betrayed her oath and who stands opposed to every American value is a domestic enemy and would have been recognized as such by John Adams, by Thomas Jefferson, by Abraham Lincoln and Franklin Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan. She is attacking the cornerstones of American life and weaponizing fear through the exercise and abuse of power of a federal law enforcement agency. There are no words to describe the terribleness, the wrongness, and the evil of that. She has let loose a storm, and she has sent American Gestapo into America's cities and into America's small towns and into Washington, D.C. restaurants, jackbooted government thugs all with masks on their faces, too ashamed to wear their badges, to seize people and disappear them off the street with no due process whatsoever. And they call that justice. There is nothing that threatens you more than the idea that there is anybody, no matter how evil they are, that stands in a space where, by word alone, a finger pointed at them by the most powerful people in the country that says they're guilty, that if it should come to be means you will never live in another day of safety. And we will all be at risk because in America, everybody gets to stand in front of a judge. Everybody gets due process. And so when you see a demagogue and a sycophant, a power-mad, sick, narcissistic woman point a finger at an innocent man and call him a terrorist with the power of state backing her up, it should send a chill down your spine. And you should understand exactly what that is. She's no different than a Reich security secretary in 1933 pointing a finger at somebody and telling you they're a terrorist. No. You know who's a terrorist? Kristi Noem is. And what she's terrorizing is the U.S. Constitution and the American people. And she will be held to account. Mark my words. Justice will come for her. Have no doubt about that. This outrageousness will not stand. And there will be a day, trust me, when she is sitting in the dock, stammering, stuttering, her arrogance stripped away. And on that day, she'll say, but I was just following orders. That's what they always say. Shame on her. And good luck to the Democratic senators. At least a couple of them are making progress in facing down the gathering evil. When she's back next time, they should appreciate what she is, which is this. And that is the warning.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.